I taught her how to ride a bike, made her dinner every night, even learned how to braid her damn hair. Now she's sitting across from me saying, "What if I told them Laura hit me? I raised my daughter alone, and now she's blackmailing me to burn down my second marriage." And the worst part, I almost let her. It was a quiet Sunday evening, the kind where the warmth from the oven lingers in the kitchen air long after dinner's done. Laura had just set 2 plates on the table, roasted chicken, buttery green beans, and those garlic mashed potatoes she made when she wanted to comfort us both without saying much. I sat down, fork in hand, mid-smile, when my phone buzzed on the counter. I almost ignored it, but the name lit up. Emily, my daughter, 22, my everything once, if I'm being honest. I glanced at Laura. She gave me that soft nod, the kind that says, "Go ahead, even if it means cold food," I answered. "Dad?" Emily's voice was tight, controlled, but I've raised her. I know the strain when it's there. "Can you come over? I really need to talk." That was all it took. The fork dropped. The plate stayed full. Laura didn't say a word, just started clearing the other side of the table before I even stood. Driving over, the past played like a slideshow. The first night I changed her diaper, how tiny she was, screaming like her lungs were too big for her body. The time I stayed up past midnight helping her finish that science fair volcano. I remember sitting in the school parking lot once, watching her walk in with a backpack half her size and thinking, this is it. This is the best it gets. Her mother, Claire, was long gone by then, chose her career in biotech over diapers and tantrums. She didn't even fight me for custody. Signed the papers like it was a business deal. "It's just not who I am," she told me. "I want more." As if Emily wasn't more than enough. For years it was just me and Em. Mac and cheese dinners, home haircuts, and every storybook under the stars. She was my girl. My heart walking around in sneakers and glitter nail polish. When I got to her apartment, she opened the door fast, like she'd been standing behind it. "Thanks for coming," she said, without meeting my eyes. Inside, the air felt off. Clean but cold. No music, no TV. Just a single cup of tea on the coffee table, untouched. Her coat was still on. "Emily," I said, "what's going on?" She sat, legs curled under her like she used to as a kid. But the way she looked at me now, measured, rehearsed. This wasn't a daughter confiding in her dad. This was a negotiation. "I've been thinking a lot," she began. "About Mom. About how things ended back then." I felt something pinch in my chest. "What about her?" "She's changed," she said. "She reached out. She wants to fix things. And honestly, Dad, I think you should too." I stared at her. "Claire left us, Em. She left you. What is there to fix?" "You could at least hear her out," Emily said, leaning forward. "She was in a different place. She had dreams. You can't punish her forever." I didn't answer. "I know things between you and Laura are serious," she added. "But maybe you should think about what's best for our family. Our real family." Something inside me cracked. "Emily," I said slowly, "Laura is my wife. She's family too." She looked down, played with her sleeve. "What if," she began, voice trailing off. "What if I said Laura hurt me?" That's when the air turned to ice. "What are you saying?" I asked, standing straighter. "I'm saying," she whispered, "maybe I felt unsafe around her. Maybe I could tell someone that." Silence. Complete, suffocating silence. "You're threatening me," I said, more to myself than to her. "You're fucking threatening me." She didn't deny it. She just looked up, her eyes suddenly watery. "I'm giving you a choice. Either you end things with Laura and we work on rebuilding our family, or I talk." My knees buckled. I sat back down, hard. This was my daughter. My little girl who used to hold my hand crossing streets, who cried when she lost her first tooth. Now she was sitting across from me, calmly offering me a knife and asking me to choose who to stab. I tried reasoning. "Emily, I raised you. I gave up everything. I was there when she bailed. I held you when you had the flu, when you had nightmares. I missed job interviews to be at your school plays. I didn't date for years because I didn't want anyone to come between us. And now you're—" She stood. "You're choosing her. Again." "No, I'm choosing me. For once." Her face was blank. I got up, walked to the door. "I want you out of my house. I want you out of my life until you understand what the fuck you just did." And I left. Back home, the food was cold. Laura had already gone to bed. I sat alone in the dark kitchen, reached into the drawer where we kept the old things. Birthday cards, fridge magnets, one of Emily's stick figure drawings from when she was 4. She'd written, "Me and Daddy forever" in crooked crayon. I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted her number. Outside, snow had started to fall. Quiet, cold, just like it felt inside. The next morning I sat at the kitchen table with a mug of tea cooling in my hands, staring at nothing. Laura moved around the kitchen in silence, pouring her coffee, pretending not to notice the way my hands were trembling slightly. She didn't ask what happened. She didn't have to. She'd seen the look on my face when I walked through the door last night. She saw the dent in me I couldn't quite hide. I finally spoke. "She said Laura hit her." Laura stopped mid-stir. "What?" "She said she could tell people that you hit her," I repeated flat. "That she felt unsafe." Laura didn't respond. She just sat down slowly across from me, her face blank. And then she asked the hardest question of all. "Do you believe her?" My gut twisted. No, of course not. But the damage had already been done. The fact that the question could even be asked, that was the rot she planted in me. I called out of work that day. Couldn't focus. Couldn't think. Instead, I walked into the garage, sat on the old tool bench, and stared at a cardboard box marked Emily, Elementary. Inside were drawings, stick figures, sunshines, me with a big smile and a cape. She used to call me Super Dad. One of the papers had a star sticker on it, Best Parent Award. Her third-grade teacher told me once Emily would cry if I was even a minute late to pick her up. She used to grab my face with both hands and say, "Don't leave me, okay?" I didn't, even when Claire left. Even when money was tight and I had to take night shifts. Even when Emily screamed at me in high school that I was too strict, that I didn't get it, I stayed. And now? Now she was using every bit of my love against me like a loaded gun. I tried to talk to her again. I called. She picked up after 3 rings. "Hey," she said like nothing had happened. "Why?" I asked. "Why are you doing this?" A pause. Then, "Because you always pick her. First Mom, now Laura. I'm sick of being second." My jaw clenched. "You were never second." "You could have fooled me." "Claire left," I said, louder than I meant to. "She left you. I stayed. I gave you everything. But you moved on," she hissed. "You gave her what should have been ours. And now you're trying to destroy it?" She didn't answer. "I won't let you do this," I said quietly. Then she hit me with it. "If you don't end things with Laura, I'll go to the police." My blood ran cold. "You don't even believe your own lie," I whispered. "I don't have to," she replied. "I just have to say it." I don't remember the rest of that conversation. I remember shaking. I remember pacing the living room until my chest hurt. I remember Laura finding me on the floor, breathing like I couldn't get enough air into my lungs. That night, we didn't eat. The table stayed set, food untouched, lights dimmed low like the house was in mourning. I opened the drawer again, took out a photo. Emily, age 6, missing a front tooth, holding a teddy bear. On the back, in my handwriting, first day of first grade. She didn't cry. I did. I looked at the number on my phone, and I deleted it again. This time for good. I didn't sleep. Not a single minute. The house was too still, like it was waiting for me to break. Laura lay beside me, her breathing soft and steady. But I knew she wasn't sleeping either. We both just existed in the dark, our bodies inches apart but 1,000 miles away. At 3:14 a.m., I got up, walked barefoot into the kitchen and turned on the light. Sat at the table, same chair as the night before. The tea mug from yesterday was still there, half full and cold. I didn't dump it out. I stared at it like it held answers. When the sun finally broke over the windowsill, I called my brother, Eric, first time in months. He picked up groggy, already suspicious. "What's wrong?" I didn't ease into it. "She threatened to lie to the cops. Said Laura hit her." Long pause. "You serious?" "Dead serious," he exhaled. "Fuck." "She said if I didn't leave Laura, she'd make the call." Another silence. Longer this time. Then, "What are you gonna do?" I looked at the kitchen doorway where Laura now stood in her robe, arms crossed tight. "I already did it," I said. "I told her never to contact me again." Eric didn't say anything at first. Then he muttered, "Jesus, man. Yeah, Jesus." Later that morning, I opened the storage closet. It took me 2 hours to find it. A dusty shoebox labeled Keeps. Inside were baby socks, a dried daisy from the park she once picked for me, a note scribbled in crayon, "Daddy, I love you more than pancakes and rainbows." I held it in my lap, felt the weight of all those years pressing down on my ribs like a vice. You think you're ready for this kind of betrayal, but you're not. You can survive it, but it changes you. It burns out some part of your wiring, makes warmth feel foreign. That evening, she texted me, "Emily, I didn't mean it like that. I was just scared. You know I wouldn't really. I just needed you to listen." I stared at the message, typed nothing. Then came another. "Emily, you're really choosing her? After everything? Everything. Everything I did. Every night I spent rocking her back to sleep. Every school lunch packed, every broken heart talked through, every goddamn time I sat in the audience clapping louder than anyone else. She wanted me to feel guilty. It almost worked. Almost. I took the shoebox to the fireplace, sat there for 10 minutes just holding it. But I didn't burn it. I'm not ready for that. Instead, I locked it in the cabinet with a key I haven't used in years. Then I poured myself a drink I haven't had in longer. And I sat by the window, watching the light fade. Snow was falling again, slow and deliberate. Everything looked peaceful from the outside. But inside was frostbitten. The next few days passed like I was living underwater. Everything muted, sluggish, disconnected. I went to work, answered emails, nodded through meetings. Nobody noticed. Nobody ever does. At home, I barely spoke. Laura tried, God knows she did. But how do you explain to someone that your daughter, your baby, looked you in the eye and pulled the pin on a grenade? You can't. So you go quiet. You fold in on yourself. You hope the pain starts to calcify into something manageable. Thursday night, I found Laura in the laundry room folding towels. She didn't look up when she called me. I stopped in the doorway. She left a voicemail, she continued, smoothing out a pillowcase like it personally offended her. Said she wanted to clear the air. My mouth went dry. Did you listen to it? Laura nodded. She said she didn't mean what she said, that she was just scared of losing you, that I've always made her feel pushed out. I swallowed. And? Laura finally looked at me. Her voice was steady, but her eyes, they were glass. She said if I really loved you, I'd step aside. that maybe we need time apart, for you and her to reconnect. I felt something in me snap, not loud, not violent, just a small, clean crack. She's playing you, I muttered. Laura nodded slowly. I know, but the damage was done. Just like with me, the seed was planted. Doubt, guilt, that special brand of poison only someone you raised can brew. That night, I took a walk, past the elementary school where I used to pick Emily up every day. Remembered how she'd run down the sidewalk yelling, "Daddy, Daddy!" like I was the goddamn hero of her universe. I stood at the edge of the playground, empty now, under the streetlights, and felt my knees weaken. What the fuck happened? How did we get here? I wanted to believe it was Claire's doing, that her mother had twisted her, broken her, turned her into this manipulative echo, but the truth was worse. Emily had grown into this with me watching, and I hadn't seen it coming. When I got back home, Laura was asleep on the couch, the TV still playing. I sat beside her quietly, careful not to wake her. I looked at her hand resting on her stomach, relaxed and open, and I knew I wasn't going to lose her. Not to guilt, not to manipulation, not even to blood. The next morning, I sent Emily one final text. Me. Do not contact me or Laura again. If you make any accusations, I will treat them as slander and respond legally. This is your doing, not hers, not mine, yours. I blocked her. I didn't wait for a reply, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something like relief. Cold, bitter relief, but relief nonetheless. Saturday morning came heavy and gray, the kind of sky that looks like it's about to break open but just hangs there, still, pressing. Laura stayed in bed. I didn't ask why. I didn't need to. Instead, I went to the attic. Hadn't been up there in years. The air was stale, like memories too old to breathe. I found a box labeled Christmas, 2008. Inside, tangled lights and one of Emily's old ornaments, red felt, shaped like a mitten, her tiny photo glued in the middle. She was 5, smiling so wide her front teeth looked like chiclets. I sat down right there on the dusty floor and stared at it. She used to wake me up at 4 a.m. on Christmas morning, every year, blanket over her shoulders, whispering, "Daddy, Santa came," back when her love didn't have conditions. Later that day, Laura finally came downstairs. She didn't say anything, just made herself tea and curled up on the far end of the couch. I sat opposite her, holding that damn ornament like it was some kind of proof. She glanced at it, then at me. "Do you regret it?" she asked. I shook my head. "No, I regret what led to it, but not the decision." Laura gave a tired nod. "Good." Then almost as an afterthought, she whispered, "I was starting to feel afraid in my own house." That one hit hard, harder than anything Emily had said. Because that's what it came down to, didn't it? The choice between past and present, between the child I raised and the woman who stayed when things got hard. I went back to work Monday, kept my head down, focused on spreadsheets, pretended my phone wasn't haunting my thoughts. That night, Laura cooked. First time in a while. Lemon chicken. Her quiet way of saying we weren't broken. Not yet. After dinner, I opened the drawer in the hallway, pulled out our old family photo, Emily, me, Claire, back when things still looked whole from the outside. I took the photo out of the frame, tore it, kept my half, me and Emily, put the other half back in the drawer. Around midnight, I checked my blocked messages. Curiosity's a bitch. There were 4 from Emily, all variations of "You're really doing this? You're punishing me. And one day you'll realize I was right. No apology, no ownership, just control dressed as victimhood." I sat in the dark kitchen, phone face down, mug of tea untouched again, and I finally admitted it to myself. The little girl I raised, she's gone. What's left is something else. And whatever this becomes next, it won't be on her terms. Tuesday, rain this time. Not snow, but somehow it felt colder. Laura had left early for work. She didn't kiss me goodbye. I don't blame her. I stared at the untouched breakfast she made. Eggs and toast, just the way I like it. But even that felt like too much to accept right now. Like I didn't deserve comfort after everything I'd allowed to fester. I took one bite, then dumped the rest in the sink. I got a call from Claire. Didn't answer. She left a voicemail. "Hey, I heard about the falling out. I want to talk. For Emily's sake. Maybe we can find a way to make this right." I laughed. Out loud. Cold and bitter. Make this right? Claire walked out when Emily was 2. Showed up for birthdays with forced smiles and bookstore gift cards. Vanished again for months. And now she wanted to play peacemaker? She was the match that lit this whole fire. Emily just learned to carry the torch. That afternoon, I drove to the old park. The one with the crooked slide and those chipped monkey bars where Emily learned to ride a bike. I used to chase behind her, hands always inches from her back, ready to catch her if she tipped too far. She'd scream with laughter, "Don't let go, Daddy." And I didn't. Not until she begged me to. She fell once, scraped her knee bad. I carried her all the way home even though she said she could walk. She liked being carried. Said it made her feel safe like a backpack. I remember that word for word. I sat on the bench for over an hour, watching the swing creak in the breeze. The playground was empty. Weather too wet, too cold, but I could still hear echoes. Little feet pounding pavement, tiny voices calling out for pushes and turns. And it hit me, hard, that I was grieving someone who wasn't dead. That's what no one tells you about this kind of betrayal. It's a death that walks. A funeral with no casket, no closure, no condolences. Just silence, and the endless echo of what used to be. When I got home, Laura was in the kitchen again. This time she didn't look up. I stood there for a moment watching her unload the dishwasher, her motions slow, careful, like she was trying to hold her own world together one plate at a time. I cleared my throat. I need to say something. She paused, her back still to me. Then she turned around, arms crossed, eyes guarded. I walked over and sat beside her. She's gone, Laura. Not physically, but whatever was left of that bond, she torched it. And I let her douse it in gasoline for years because I couldn't stop hoping. I thought love could outlast resentment. I was wrong. Laura didn't interrupt, just listened. I don't expect you to forgive that, I said, voice lower now. I let her manipulate the space between us. I let guilt speak louder than trust. But I want to rebuild, with you, if you'll have me. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She just reached out and took my hand. And for the first time in what felt like years, I felt something real, something still alive. That night, I opened my phone one last time, scrolled to Claire's voicemail, hovered. Then I deleted it, didn't save it, didn't play it again. Whatever bridge they were hoping to build, I was done offering the wood. Let it burn. The storm broke Wednesday morning. Not the weather. Her. Emily. It started with an email. Subject line, "For your records." I opened it thinking it was just another last-ditch guilt trip. Instead, it was a full statement. She'd written a detailed account, 3 pages long, about how Laura had created a hostile domestic environment, how she felt unsafe, how she feared retaliation. It was dressed up in careful language, clearly coached, the kind of thing someone writes when they've already talked to a lawyer. At the bottom, in italics, "If you're not willing to leave her, this will go to HR at your job." HR. She was threatening my livelihood now. I didn't rage, didn't throw anything. I just sat there, reading it again and again, numb. This wasn't a tantrum anymore. This was a calculated hit. She wasn't just trying to punish me. She was trying to ruin me. I printed it out and left it on the kitchen counter. When Laura came home, she found me in the backyard, sitting on the deck in the drizzle, soaked and still. She didn't say anything at first, just came and sat beside me. "I saw the email," she said quietly. I nodded. She waited, but I had no words left, so she spoke instead. "She wants to break you," Laura said. "She doesn't even care if she takes herself down in the process. That's not love. That's control." "She used to love me," I said, not sure if I believed it anymore. "She loved who you were when you existed only for her," Laura replied. "Now you're yours. That's why she hates you." That line landed deep. I looked at her, at this woman who'd never asked me to choose, until Emily forced it. "I can resign," I muttered. "If this blows up at work, it'll be bad press. She knows that. That's why she chose HR." Laura turned to me sharply. "You're not resigning. If anyone loses anything, it won't be you." I saw it then, anger in her eyes. Not fear, not pity, fury, not at me, at what Emily had become. And I realized I wasn't the only one Emily had underestimated. That night, I called my lawyer, told him everything. Then I forwarded the email. Every line, every threat. His reply came fast. "This qualifies as coercion and reputational blackmail. We can act now. Let me know how far you want to take it." I stared at that message for a long time. How far do you go when the one attacking you is your own child? How far are you allowed to go before you stop being a father and start being a man protecting what's left of his life? By midnight, I still hadn't replied. But I knew I would. I wasn't going to let her burn everything down. Not this time. And not without a fight. I didn't sleep again. Funny how quickly insomnia becomes a new normal. Like grief. Just another bad roommate in your head, pacing at night, whispering regrets. At 5:12 a.m., I replied to my lawyer. "Take the gloves off." 2 hours later, I was in his office, watching him assemble a file thick enough to anchor a boat. The email from Emily, the voicemail from Claire, screenshots of previous messages, Emily's threats, her guilt trips, her weaponized nostalgia, all of it. "This isn't just manipulation," he said. "This is targeted harassment. She's using your personal life to compromise your professional standing. If this were anyone else, we'd already have a restraining order filed." I nodded, silent. He studied me. "But she's not anyone else." "No," I said. "She's my daughter." He didn't respond. Didn't have to. That night I sat with Laura in the living room. We didn't talk. We just watched the fire flicker in the hearth like it was the only thing left breathing in the house. Eventually I said it. "She's trying to destroy me." Laura didn't flinch. She just nodded. "So we fight back. I'm scared of hating her," I admitted. "You don't," she said. "If you did, this wouldn't hurt like hell." The next day my lawyer filed a cease and desist letter. It was hand-delivered to Emily's campus address, and just like that, the first real line was drawn in the sand. An hour later, she called from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. She left one message. "I can't believe you did this. You're choosing her. You're ruining our family." Our family. That phrase felt like a punch in the gut. She didn't understand. She was my family. Once. Before she turned me into her hostage. Now she was a stranger with my face in her photo album. I went upstairs, opened the bedroom closet, and pulled down the last box I hadn't touched. Inside, her baby blanket. Still soft. Still faintly smelling of talcum and thyme. I held it in my hands for a full 5 minutes. Then I put it in the donation pile, because keeping it won't bring her back, and mourning what used to be won't protect what still is. That night, Laura reached for me in bed, not for comfort, not for pity, for connection, and for the first time in weeks, I let myself be held, not as a broken father, but as a man still choosing to live. Friday morning, my phone rang again. Blocked number. I didn't answer. Then another, and another. I finally picked up on the 4th ring out of instinct, already regretting it before I spoke. Dad? Emily's voice. Small, hesitant, almost childlike. I got the letter. Are you really doing this? I didn't respond, just waited. I didn't mean for things to go this far, she said, her breath shaky. I felt like you were slipping away from me. You threatened my wife, I said flatly. I know, she whispered. You tried to sabotage my job. I know. Then what the hell did you think was going to happen? She started crying. Not the dramatic kind. Just the quiet, pitiful sobs that made my throat tighten despite everything. You always picked everyone else first, she said. Mom, Laura, you never picked me. I closed my eyes. I picked you every day, I said. I picked you when your mother walked out, when you had nightmares, when I sold my truck to pay for your braces, when I missed promotions because I couldn't leave you home alone. She sniffled. You picked me when I was little, she said, but not now, not when I needed you again. I wanted to scream, to tell her she was twisting everything, that her definition of needing me was a slow-motion detonation of my life. Instead, I said, you didn't need me. You needed control. She went silent. Then, barely audible, I didn't know how else to keep you. Goddamn. There it was. The confession. The cracked logic of a grown child trying to bend love back into shape with threats and guilt. I'm sorry, she added, a whisper buried under the weight of everything she'd done. I really, really am. I didn't say I forgave her. I didn't promise we'd rebuild. I just said, I heard you. Then I hung up. That night, I stood by the living room window, lights off, watching flakes begin to fall again. Laura walked up behind me, wrapped her arms around my waist. You okay? She asked. No, I said. But I'm getting there. She didn't ask what Emily said. She didn't need to. Sometimes silence is the only language heavy enough to carry the truth. On the mantel, there's a photo of me and Emily. Graduation day. She's smiling. I'm smiling. I didn't take it down. Not yet. But I did turn it face down. It's been 6 weeks since the call. No more messages. No more threats. No more surprises. Just silence. And if I'm honest, it's the loneliest peace I've ever known. You raise a child thinking love is the armor. That if you just love hard enough, loud enough, long enough, it'll be enough. That it'll shield them from the world and from themselves. But love isn't armor. It's exposure. It's the blade and the wound. And sometimes the one you protected most is the one who aims straight for your heart. Laura's been better, warmer, stronger. She started leaving notes in my lunch again. Dumb little jokes, half-finished doodles, one-liners like, don't forget to breathe. I never told her, but I keep every single one in the glove box. She saved us, really. Not by fighting Emily, not by confronting Claire, but by staying. By drawing a line in the sand and saying, I'm here. I'm not moving. You'll have to burn through me, too. Last night I went through the attic again. This time I wasn't looking for anything, but I found it anyway. An old video cassette, labeled in my handwriting, Emily, 3rd grade talent show. I almost didn't watch it. Almost. But at 1 a.m., I gave in, dug out the old player, plugged it in. The screen flickered to life, static and fuzz, and then her, tiny, nervous, clutching a plastic microphone, eyes searching the crowd until she saw me. And then, there it was, that smile. She sang off key, forgot the words halfway through, but she kept looking at me, like she could only finish if I stayed locked in with her. And I did, the whole time. Even now, on that grainy tape, I'm still there, still clapping, still smiling, still hers. When it ended, I just sat in the blue screen glow, and I let myself cry. For her, for me, for the distance between who we were and who we are. Today, I deleted her last voicemail. Not out of spite, but because I had to let go. There's nothing left to say. Sometimes healing isn't about closure. Sometimes it's about giving yourself permission to stop waiting for it. And outside my window, it's snowing again. Soft, relentless, like forgiveness maybe, or maybe just weather.